Welcome along to today's episode of our podcast. Super excited to introduce today's guest. He's one of the leaders at arguably New Zealand's most successful tech companies, Xero. For those of you who don't know Xero, you must have been hiding under a rock. They have had a phenomenal growth on the New Zealand tech scene. So our guest today is Ryan Ghisi. He is the General Manager of Global People Programs at Xero. And of course, he must be a great guy being called Ryan. Look, we get into discussing all sorts of interesting things in today's podcast. Ryan really gets into the details about what does flexible working look like, when does it happen, where does it happen, how does it happen, and what are the nuts and bolts of flexible working. We even dig deep on what are the challenges around that. So yes, we get it, flexible working's good, people want it, it's helpful, but what are some of those challenges? So Ryan gives us insight into things like reluctance from managers of people that want flexible working. We talk about role requirements, where how do you do flexible working if there's, for example, people are running a help desk and you literally need to man that help desk for the set hours. How do you build flexible working into those? We discuss what happens when people have unrealistic expectations around their opportunity for flexible working. Tune in today's episode. You're going to learn a lot about things that drive the success at Xero and what flexible working can truly be all about. Ryan, very excited to have you on the podcast today. You're the GM People Programs at Xero.
Yep.
I've been very fortunate to attend one of your presentations and loved your insights around people experience and what you're doing at Xero, and thought can't miss this opportunity to have you on the podcast. Thanks for coming in.
Pleased to be here, thank you.
So let's start off with a bit of rapid fire. We need to know who's in the hot seat today.
Okay.
So Ryan, are you a breakfast or a dinner guy?
Oh, I guess it would have to be breakfast. Yeah, it's just so important. I need some energy to get me going in the morning, and so having my morning coffee and my muesli is my bag. So yeah, definitely breakfast.
Nice, like it. And on holiday, are we more likely to find you bungee jumping or on a pool lounger?
Oh gosh, that's tough. Yeah, I'd like to say both, but I become a bit of an adrenaline junkie, and particularly coming to New Zealand, Queenstown, adrenaline capital of the world. So yeah, I think bungee jumping would be the way. Yeah,
love it. Have you done it?
I have done it a few times.
Oh, yeah. Oh, cool.
Off the Sky Tower, off the Harbour Bridge, Taupo.
Oh,
yeah, Queenstown.
You're a seasoned campaigner.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. And I think this question might almost be redundant, but are we more likely to find you in trainers or dress shoes?
Yeah, well, Xero's got a pretty flex dress code, so definitely the trainers. Yeah,
love it.
I'm glad when I moved there to get rid of the shirt, tie, and smart shoes. So, yeah,
because no one ever got to the end of their life going, "I wish I'd done more ironing," right?
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And my wardrobe's much simpler now.
Yeah, I concur on that one. When you're reading, are we more likely to find you reading a real book or electronic Kindle type version?
Yeah, it was funny. I was having this conversation the other day, and particularly with young kids, it's so important to get them away from their devices. It's great that they're learning all these digital skills and using devices, but I'm a physical book man. Yeah, all day long.
Nice. And what are you most often reading? Are you reading fiction? Are you reading business books? Are you reading people and capability?
A bit of both. I try and mix it up with a bit of fiction and some kind of professional type books. So usually kind of one on, one off keeps me pretty sane. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Good mix. Big question: cats or dogs?
Definitely cats. Got two at home, sorry. A couple of rag dolls. They are just amazing. The kids love them.
Okay, I like you a little bit less, but we'll keep going. Early riser or night owl?
Yeah, I'm an early riser, so I get up early and I'm in the office usually by 7. And I like to get home, at a reasonable hour. I've 2 young kids, and so spending that time with them at the sort of end of the day is really important for me.
Brilliant, love it. Okay, entertainment. Are we more likely to find you watching a thriller or comedy?
Ooh, yeah, I like a bit of comedy. Yeah, definitely. There's lots to choose from now with Netflix and other kind of platforms out there. So yeah, I'm always seeking out the latest, greatest comedy.
Yeah, okay, cool. Now, we're going to dive deep in on Xero and particularly the flexibility at work.
Great.
I know it's a bit of a passion for you. But before we go there, what was, as a youngster, what was your aspiration? Did you have a job in mind? What were you going to be when you grew up?
Yeah, geez, I was really into my tech when I was younger. I remember having a Commodore 64 and I was programming on that. I studied that at college, at uni. My first job, I was trained up as a Visual Basic developer. So, I always saw myself as being a developer, a tech geek. But quickly kind of realized as my personality developed, and I realized I had a passion for people and not so much for technology. Over the years I progressed more to that kind of people side of things, but kept my interest and my passion with technology. Right. So I completely thought I was going to be in that technology space. Yeah.
And quite handy because you can talk ones and zeros with your people.
Absolutely.
If you need to.
Yeah. It's really handy when we're talking systems and with IT. So I'm the go-to for that.
Yeah. Talk code, love it. Okay, so let's dive into the Xero piece. How long have you been at Xero now?
Yeah, 3.5 years now. Yeah, it feels like a lot longer, but it's been amazing.
Okay, and I think lots of us know the Xero brand. It's been one of New Zealand's greatest tech success stories so far, and I think there's a long way to go in the journey yet.
It is.
Just give us a bit of a shape of the organisation. How many people? How many locations? That kind of thing.
Yeah, goodness. So we like to think of ourselves as a startup, but we're 12 years old now. And goodness, we've gone in that 12 years, we're now at 2,700 globally. We're in, goodness, I want to get this wrong, it's something like 8 countries. Half of those are in New Zealand. Most of the rest are in Australia, US and UK. And then we have some smaller offices in Asia and Europe and North America. So it's crazy. We're all over the place.
Growing big time.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know you use the word people experience rather than HR.
Yeah.
Can you give us your view on the difference there?
Yeah, I think that comes from Rod's day. So Rod Drury, the founder and former CEO, he's always had a big passion for people, and it's been a big part of how our really awesome culture has grown up. And one of those key areas, one of the values of being human. And early on, I think it was part of the decision that we didn't want to think of our people as resources.
Right.
And everything that we wanted to think about from an employee perspective was the experience. And so naturally it just kind of went from a human resources, which is a very kind of 80s term, to a more modern term, and talking about people and talking about the experience they have. So naturally that people experience is how the last several years we've used that kind of moniker.
And I think we'll dive into this, but the quest for talent is really tough.
Yeah.
And I think probably human resources was a hangover from previous days where it was like, you're just lucky to have a job here, son.
Yeah, that's it. Employee number 47692.
Yeah, those kind of things. Whereas now we're really competing for the very best talent. I think particularly in the tech space, a global shortage of great people that have the skills and the knowledge, but also fit with the culture of a business.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that focus is amazing. Okay, we really want to talk a bit about flexibility. I know it's a passion of yours.
Yeah.
It's, I think you might even call it the silent enabler.
Yeah, that's why I've kind of been referring to that.
Yeah.
It's kind of, for me, it's gone from something that used to be, people used to refer to as a benefit. Oh, we have this great benefit, we allow flexible working, and now it's not. It's absolutely expected. And so for us, it's just something that's part of our DNA and we've grown up with as part of our culture, but it is just a massive enabler for people, right? It's something that you just want to remove that barrier, and it just allows them to come in and be themselves and be more productive and all those great things. So yeah.
Okay, so when you think about flexibility in the workplace, how do you think about it? What's the kind of shape that you use for flexibility at Xero?
Yeah, I mean, I've been out talking about this recently at conferences and forums, and we framed it up in 4 different ways. So the first way is the thinking about flexibility from a when. So the hours, and traditionally this would be, I have a formal contract that says I work part-time, or I work 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 or whatever it is, but our approach generally across flexibility is much more ad hoc and casual.
Right.
So when we think about those hours, it may be that on this particular day I come in early and leave early, on this particular day I come in late and leave late. So yeah, that's how we think about the when, the kind of hours. The next is the where. So again, traditionally this may be, I work from the Auckland office in my contract, I work from home permanently. So again, we take that ad hoc, casual approach to, next Wednesday I need to be working from home because of reasons X, Y, and Z. And I live and breathe this, I typically come in early and leave early. I typically work from home on a Wednesday, but that may change on a daily basis. The third way we think about it, other than the when and the where, is the how. And the how for us is how we enable that, and for us it's technology. So we've grown up in the cloud. Xero's product is cloud-based. All of our tools internally are cloud-based. And so what that means is whether you're on your mobile phone, on your personal device, on your work laptop, wherever you are, whenever you're working, that technology allows you to be productive, get access to your email or your productivity tools or your documents. So the technology is a key part of the how. And then the final one is the what. And so when we think about flexibility more broadly, we think about things like global mobility. So opportunities to be seconded or permanently transferred between countries or offices. We talk about career opportunities. So with Xero's growth, we've always got new opportunities, new roles coming up. A huge investment in learning and development. So that flexibility goes beyond the traditional thinking of hours, way beyond that, and it extends to flexibility in your career at Xero. Your old-fashioned career where you may work in a very kind of linear, a vertical career, maybe at one or two companies, that's changed. People want to move around, but if we can give them that gig opportunity, so I'm working in customer experience in Auckland, and an opportunity comes up in sales and marketing in Melbourne, just giving them those opportunities to have that flexibility around their career and their learning and their growth. So it's kind of quite holistic and beyond the traditional ways of thinking about flexibility.
Right. Such a great approach. Of course, I've seen organisations think about flexibility, and so often the policy is focused around the one person in the organisation which might take advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
And they spend a lot of time focused on that. It's actually, if you spend more time focused on being an enabler, as you talk about, and then helping your people leaders deal with encourage, make the most out of that flexible working, you're going to get way more bang for buck than focusing on the one person that might take the mickey, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So what benefits have you observed at Xero by having this really flexible approach to people and how they work?
We just see huge increases in engagement, satisfaction, productivity, and all of those things all drive bottom line, right? So at the end of the day, if you've got satisfied, engaged, productive workers, your customer success is going to go up, your revenue is going to go up, your costs are going to come down. So it's all about understanding why it's important for employees, and then how that then impacts and flows onto Xero as well. So yeah, it's just a no-brainer for us.
Wellness in the workplace is a popular topic these days.
Yeah.
Have you seen flexibility have an impact on wellbeing?
Yeah, definitely. Look, we track our engagement across a whole range of kind of foundational elements, and one of those is wellbeing. We track that quite regularly, and we can draw the line quite clearly between our approach of flexible working and the impact on wellbeing. And employees tell us, right? It's to remove that barrier and know that they can work when and where and how they need to. Just means they can come in and be this kind of authentic selves, and they can be more productive, and so it just removes any of those issues that I've seen and hear about causing people stress and other kind of issues. We focus very much on employees' outcomes and their outputs. We're very clear what the outcomes are that are expected and what the outputs are that are expected. And as long as I can manage those and track those, do I care if they're sat in front of me at the desk or on a beanbag in the cafe or at home, or they're not in till 10 o'clock, or it's all irrelevant to me, right? As long as I'm tracking those things and we're both clear on them.
Yeah, because I think we've seen so much evidential data that simply someone being sat at a desk for a period of time there's almost zero correlation between output.
Yeah.
Saw a really interesting presentation from the team at Prudential who've done the 4-day work week piece, and they quoted studies saying people were engaged at their desk about 12% of the workday.
So it's crazy. I mean,
such old school thinking to go, yes. I'm going to get more value from my people if I make sure they're at work at this time in the morning and they don't leave until that time.
Yeah, and that flexibility extends to our office environment, right? So, we have over a couple of years, Xero has transition to agile-based working, right? So a lot of companies have done that the last few years. For us, it's less about the old days of not having a hot desking. I come in, I don't have a desk, I don't know where I'm going to sit for the day. It's all about, here is the neighborhood. On a daily basis, I'm generally going to be able to come in and sit with my team, know I'm going to be with my work colleagues, but if I want to go and work in a quiet area in the office, I know there's that space. If I want to go and sit down and have a private conversation with someone, I know there's someone to do that. If I want to go and sit in a beanbag in an area and work, if I want to go and have a stand up with my team, I want to do a collaboration, I want to go into a meeting and do a video conference, the office is set up specifically to allow that flexibility in how they work in the office. So yeah, and we have a very young workforce, right? The average age is 33, and so that very much fits with their style and their approach. Everyone's got sit to stand desks, and so a lot of people take the opportunity to use all those different spaces in the office.
Perfect. And I think what's coming through here is your holistic approach to flexibility. So it's not about going, oh, you can start late and finish late or whatever it might be, but actually thinking about environment flexibility as well. Yeah, that's very good. I'm sure, like any new initiative, and I know you've got this is at your core. You mentioned that Rod had kind of bought this as an ethos right from the beginning. But what challenges have you observed in trying to deliver a flexible environment and flexibility overall?
Like a lot of companies, we're on a journey of upskilling them in terms of both their leadership and their managerial skills. And so capabilities are a big thing. So, you have some managers perhaps who aren't necessarily having regular catch-ups with their employees, maybe haven't set very clear goals, aren't providing or asking for feedback. And so there's that fear there that if I can't see you sat next to me or near me, how do I know what you're doing? And so there's some capability issues there around both ensuring that they have set up these regular cadences of catching up and having clear expectations and goals and feedback, but also how you manage that arrangement and ensuring that if that arrangement isn't quite working, they're seeing that it's impacting or affecting outputs or outcomes, that they're equipped to have those conversations and not kind of just push them into the corner. I guess expectations.
Maybe give us an example. Is there, because I can almost hear our audience going, yeah, but someone's going to take advantage of this.
Yeah.
How? Just give us an example. I'm sure you've had someone where they've gone beyond the boundary. Are there people that go, oh great, you have a flexible work policy, excellent, I'll work from home every day? Is there sort of unrealistic expectations?
Unrealistic expectations, yeah. I mean, some employees who want to crunch their hours down to such an extent, 1 or 2 day weeks, that they're not able to fulfill the requirements of the role. Or employees, you say, want to work from home permanently, and we're quite protective of our culture, and for us a key part of that culture is the office environment, that community of people coming together. So even for those pods that we're trialing who are working from home permanently, even for the few employees that we do have those arrangements with, we're very conscious of getting them into the office regularly to keep them part of that. So we do have to manage expectations, and then part of that conversation, whether it's between manager and employee or PX and employee, is explaining to them and them understanding that it's got to work for the business as well. And this happened to one of my team members. So for quality of life, they wanted to move up north to Mangawai Heads, and he wanted to work from home 3 days and come into the office 2 days. And so I explained to before I approved that, I wanted to speak to the rest of the team members in Auckland to ensure that they were okay with that, because it's important that the team is also supportive and aware, and I said, look, we need to track it, and if it's not working, then we need to. So again, it's about setting those expectations up front so there's no surprises. And
always being willing to give things a try, but with the expectation that if it doesn't work, then we're going to have to look for a different setup, right?
Correct.
I think it's such a great way to approach many things with your people, but certainly any kind of flexible working arrangement. You don't have to agree to something that's going to be locked in for the rest of their life.
No, correct.
Let's get it, let's go, and there's all those different areas you've talked about that you've got to go, is it working for the individual? Is it working for the business? Is it working for team members? Is the output that we're after still happening?
Yeah.
So let's kind of track all these things. Yeah, look, the culture piece is every people leader, and hopefully every business leader understands the importance of culture. And so often people go, yeah, we want a really great culture, but actually how you deliver that can be very challenging, or it's a complex and diverse thing. When you think about culture, how do you kind of define it, and what do you think about as being important to culture?
Yeah, look, I think about this from my own perspective as well as my team members. So, what I what I look for and constantly strive for is that I wake up in the morning and are fully motivated and excited about going into work, and I get into work and I'm super clear about what I'm working on and super clear around how that connects to what the company's strategic objectives are and what I'm doing and how that impacts on our kind of mission and purpose, right? What Xero offers, right, is accounting software. So you talk to someone and go, hey, you want to come and work for Xero? We produce accounting software. And you kind of think, okay.
So pumped, yeah, accounting software.
But then you talk to them about the mission and purpose and you say, what Xero strives to do is improve the lives of small business owners, and the way in which they aim to do that is to make the software so simple, so easy to use, and to automate as much of it as possible, so we give time back to people to spend with their families and their community. And then you explain to people how what they do connects to that and impacts on that, and you start to kind of create this awesome connection, which to me is so important as part of your culture. Like, it's great, we have casual dress, we have this awesome work environment, we have all the kind of bells and whistles that tech companies have, and that's great. But for me, a key part of that culture and that experience is understanding the purpose and mission of the company and how what you do impacts on that, because that's what really kind of drives people, right?
Absolutely, and sustains them over the long term.
Yeah.
Because the fact that I can sit in a beanbag is really cool this week, but the novelty will wear off. The fact that I can work from home one day a week, hey, that's good and it adds some value, but to sustain that engagement over time, absolutely personal connection to what the organisation is doing overall, critical.
And a lot of these initiatives, whether it's flexible working, whether it's well-being, whether, for us, these are about removing barriers and supporting and helping employees to take away a lot of that noise in their lives, right? So that they can just come in and be fully focused and be able to be fully productive without any of those barriers. So you can just be, at your best every day.
Yeah. Gold. Well done, Ryan. Well done.
Yeah.
Talk to us about you've got different flex programs, I think is the term you use.
Yeah.
Give us some insights. What are the different things you think about there?
Yeah. So one of the initiatives we've introduced in the customer experience area, which is the area we knew we were going to have the most challenges, because it's very traditional. Everyone's on shifts. Got to cover the customer and make sure that we're always responding to the queries.
Someone literally needs to be there to answer the phone, answer the chat, whatever. Right?
Yeah. Correct.
Yep.
So something we introduced was snooze. So what this basically allows you to do is flex your shift by half an hour each side. So if you're scheduled to work 9 to 4, you can flex that 8:30 to 3:30. And the intention is looking to move that to kind of a 2-hour flex.
Right.
So given not the complete flexibility that everyone else has, but as much flexibility as we can, and allowing them to work from home occasionally. So that's something we've looked at for our customer experience team.
And help me understand, Ryan, when someone decides to snooze or start that half hour later, do they have to coordinate that with the team? Does someone else have to stay later, or
it's all through an app? So through our workforce planning, they're continually tracking how those requests are being made, how that's impacting on the resources at certain times of the day, and so they're continually tweaking the workforce planning and the shifts to enable that there's no really impact on our customers.
Awesome.
So again, technology coming into play, making it nice and easy for employees.
Yep.
So in the wellbeing space, something else we did in this kind of in the wellbeing / flexibility space. Mental wellbeing is something that we have had a big focus on the last couple of years. Our engagement tool and the feedback through that has told us that things like workload and stress are big issues for us. We're high growth, high pace environment. It's natural.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, natural. There's going to be some challenges around mental well-being, and so to help kind of destigmatize it and normalize mental well-being, we took the decision to take our sick leave, which we were very fortunate in New Zealand. We offer 10 days and we offer that around the globe as well. And we actually just did something very simple and just switched it and called it wellbeing leave. And we said to employees, we understand that there are times that you need to be away from work, away from the office, not working, and not necessarily because you're physically ill. You don't need to give us all the details around that. We trust that if you need to take it, you will take it, and that you're taking it for genuine reasons. And so, again, that was something that there's been a big focus generally on mental well-being and just kind of giving that signal out to employees that we trust you, you're adult human beings, you need to take that time, we trust that you take it and you need to take it has been a big step for us. So, yeah.
And if you identify someone in the Xero team that is struggling with mental well-being, in addition to obviously giving them the space through that leave, how else do you try to support them in that, managing stress? Are you able to give them tools? Are you able to give them training? What else can you do?
Yeah, so we have a number of courses that we run. So we have a course that we run through a company called Umbrella, called Xero Thrive, and that's a half-day course that's really intended to give them some tools and practices and support around increasing their resilience. We've also created another course around psychological safety. So primarily for teams to go along and understand how they can create this psychologically safe environment. You can come in, be yourself, feel that you can raise concerns. And mindfulness is another big piece as well. So we've been on a big 2-year long-term strategy around implementing mindfulness across the business, and through the courses and support and resources we put in place, we've had some amazing results with mindfulness, just really, again, supporting employees to be more resilient, to reduce their stress, be more productive. Lots of kind of things we've been working on. The latest one actually that we're trying, I've just trialed this week and last week, is for our managers to go on a mental health first aid course.
Right.
So that's, we've done that through St. John's, and that is, again, it's a 1-day course, and it's intended to give our people leaders the basic tools and skills to identify when a team member is going through some mental distress, to be able to have a conversation with them and not be a counsellor, but know how to offer support. So here's our EAP, or let's think about putting you through this Thrive course, or have you considered mindfulness, or just knowing where to point them and how to kind of point them and give them the support they need.
Which are such great skills, and again comes back to that manager or people leader capability. Is, I think, many leaders can identify when someone in their team is struggling, but actually then having the tools around how do I have a conversation, because I'm not a trained counsellor and I don't know what to do, so maybe I'll just avoid it.
Correct.
Actually being able to have a conversation. Yeah, fabulous.
Yeah, so we had some good feedback, and we're hopefully looking to roll that out across our people leaders as well. Yeah.
Superb. And one of the other terms you've used is activity-based working. Give us some insight. Is that the focus around outputs and deliverables, being clear on what people need to do? Is that the essence of activity-based working?
It's really about creating that flexibility in the work environment. So recognizing that the days of people working in cube farms or just working sat at desks all day long is gone. That isn't necessarily the way in which people want to work every day, all day. And so it's more about creating various spaces within the office to allow employees to choose the method and the way and the where in which they do their work. So it really is just about creating flexibility in the spaces within the office to allow people to work based on the specific activity that they're doing. So just really extending that flexibility into the office environment.
Yeah, superb. And measuring the benefits of flexible working.
Yeah.
How have you tried to undertake that?
Yeah, there's a big focus, particularly at Xero, around data and analytics. So we ask some very specific questions every 6 months. Yeah, we ask employees, Xero provides me with enough flexibility to help me balance my work and personal life. Right. And 85% of employees provided a positive response to that. So not as high maybe as we'd like to have, but that's, we think that's a pretty good result, and we continue to work on that.
Do you have any idea of what global benchmarks or New Zealand benchmarks might be around that? I mean, I suspect it's a lot lower, but do you know?
Yeah, there was some stats actually that we saw from Statistics New Zealand put out a survey, and of everyone they surveyed, 50% said they had flexible working, and around 80% of those said that they were satisfied versus something like 70% of those who didn't have flexibility. So that's kind of one of our kind of benchmarks.
Right.
You know, another question that we ask is, I do work flexibly ad hoc. So that kind of what I talked early on around that ad hoc kind of informal approach. And we have 80% of our employees, so 4 out of 5, who say that they work flexibly ad hoc, which is, you know, just speaks to how kind of popular it is and how common it is particularly with our young workforce, how often they do that.
And how ingrained it's become in the organisation.
Yeah, so we measure that. We ask those whole bunch of other questions. You know, have you made a request? Was it accepted? If you feel you wanted to make a request, would it be accepted? So we get really positive responses to those questions.
Right.
And then we draw a line up from everything that we do, whether it's flexible working, well-being, growth and development, everything leads up to our overall engagement and turnover statistics, right? And over the last 3 years, we've seen a 20% reduction in our turnover, and our employee net promoter score, which is the question that you asked, would you recommend Xero as a place to work? It's tripled over the last 3 years. So
that's
you know,
phenomenal.
we can really draw a line from everything we do into tangible kind of business metrics. So, yeah.
And talking about a 20% reduction in turnover, I mean, that's millions of dollars right there, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
They seen some various bits of research, but they say depending on level of role, somewhere between half the value of the salary up to 2 times the salary and cost when you start looking at opportunity cost of people having to retrain them and, you know, going through interview processes and onboarding and all those kind of things. You know, to get a 20% reduction, I mean, it's just that's straight to bottom line dollars.
It is, it's massive. And when you talk about that being, you know, 5% of your workforce, and we're 2,700 people, you know, that's 135 odd people a year. Like you say, multiply that by the average salary and the low end of the 50%, it's several million dollars.
A really big
so
number.
It's significant.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well,
finance
I think,
are happy with this.
yeah, indeed. And I think those are great stats to take to your own remuneration discussion, right?
Absolutely.
Look what my team's delivered into the business.
Hey, it's all about my team though, you know, and this is the great thing about being a leader, and a big thing that we push at Xero is the servant leadership piece, right? You know, my success is defined by my team's success, and so, you know, I'm very fortunate to have a, you know, all millennial, super driven, super motivated, high performing team. So I just kind of try and stay out of their way. Yeah.
And it's brilliant that you acknowledge the strength in your team, but great teams don't happen by accident, right?
No, that's right. I've taken a few years around coaching and helping, supporting and developing them. Correct. So
yeah, well done you.
Thanks.
You know, someone's listening to this podcast and they're going, wow, I'm so on board with the flexible working, the things you've talked about sound great. I'm really at the early stage of the journey in flexible working in my organisation. Where would you suggest they start? What would be an early initiative? What are some of the things they need to make sure they have in place to kind of make sure it's a success to get going with?
Whatever your workplace is, whatever organization or whatever sort of industry your organization is, our approach to all of these things is engaging and listening to employees, right? So yeah, it's great. We have this engagement survey. Yeah, we can measure and show how everything's going. Managers can respond to feedback. But the absolute critical piece is that every quarter we go back to employees and we say, you told us, we listen, here's what we're doing. Just speaking to your employees, asking them what is important and what's not important and how satisfied they are. From that, you're going to get some great insights, and don't be afraid that you're not going to be able to resolve everything or give them everything they want. Just the fact that you've gone out and asked them and gone back and said, we're listening and we're going to do something, is really powerful. So speak to them, find out what's important, find out what you can improve on and they're not happy about, and do something with it. And before you do that, probably go and speak to your CEO and your XLT and get them to commit that when you're going to do this exercise that they're going to commit to do something about it.
Right. That is brilliant advice.
Yeah.
Brilliant advice. Yeah, that's gold. Following those 3 simple steps, or probably 4 if we include make sure the executive level is on board.
Yeah.
But those 3 simple steps, it's a keep it simple approach, right? Go and talk to your people, find out what they want. You don't have to promise them the earth. Just ask initially. Go, here's some things we'd like to try. Can we give those a whirl? Be open about as a business what's important to them, what we still need to make happen, and have a discussion and take some action.
Yeah, and along that same principle of agile, right? You know, in that engagement and throughout the process, you know, other than customer is king, bring together a cross-functional group, right? Bring together people from across the business. When you come up and you design, or you're coming up with something you want to deliver, don't try and eat the elephant, right? Keep it simple, iterate, try something, pilot it. Doesn't work, fine, put it back, change it, improve it. Don't try and take a year to come up with this fully formed thing that you then launch and it doesn't work, or it's not aligned with what people want. So keep it simple, keep it small, iterate, change, and pilot and trial. You know, I mean, again, we do that with our product, and we do that with all of our people initiatives. So.
And something that's been evident is you don't try to do a one-size-fits-all approach to this. You're like, here's kind of like a bit of a smorgasbord of approaches. What will work for you, and what will work for you, and what will work for you is a great approach too.
Yeah, and look, that sits across everything, right? Flexible working means something different to everyone. Recognition means something different to everyone. Well-being means something different to everyone. And so our approach across all of these things is one size fits one. You know, just flexibility generally across everything we do.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, okay. So of all the things that you've achieved, let's go broader, because you've had a career before Xero. You've worked at Air New Zealand, Tower, Orion, some of these other significant organisations. Is there something that really stands out for you that you're most proud of that you've done in your people career?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, look, I think Xero, you know, I've been very fortunate to work on a lot of cool things. You know, we are agile in the way we work, so we're able to kind of move and pivot and get things across the line pretty quick and without too much drama. So the piece for me actually that really stands out, just because it's so unique, and we really went out on a limb and really had to work to get the trust of the business to let us go with it, was the mindfulness strategy. So, you know, when we first started talking about this 2 years ago, you know, you say mindfulness and people have this view of a monk on the side of a mountain kind of meditating, but, you know, we had a lot of research and science-based evidence that showed the benefits of mindfulness. And when we connected this to our issue that we'd heard from employees around mental well-being, around stress and workload, for us it was a no-brainer. So, you know, we had to go on a bit of a journey to get the exec and get the budget and make sure it was a long-term strategy, even though we went out, did it simple, did it quick, piloted it, tested it, iterated it, got feedback, and then got permission to fully go into the strategy. You know, we're 2 years down the road. We've had 250 employees go through an 8-week course. We've, again, data, measurement. We've had massive increases in resilience, huge reductions in stress, big increases in productivity, and that's even measuring it, you know, 6 months after they finish the course. So that's a big standout for me, just because it's, you know, in the corporate world certainly it's not so common, and we've just seen such great positive impacts from it. So yeah, that'll be a big one.
In our own program, active management program, we talk about mindfulness in that context, but also really just being mindful in the work sense of not operating out of habit, not just going to the next thing, not just jumping back to the inbox, but actually being very mindful about, in this next work period, whether that be a half hour or a day or a week, where can I add the most value? What can I do that is going to help shift the needle, alignment to the strategic initiatives of the organisation, just being really mindful around those things. And look, we've had amazing feedback from people that go, actually just getting into that mindful mindset in a work context is very helpful. And Ryan, to wrap this up, we have a saying here that says, not a lot matters, but what matters matters a lot.
Yeah.
For you as Ryan the person, not Ryan the Xero guy, but Ryan the person, what matters to you?
Oh, yeah. So if I think about this from a work perspective, right, you know, this is my jam, right? The employee experience is my jam, and that's what motivates me completely. So to see that what we're doing and how that's positively impacting and affecting our employees just is so powerful. You know, to see people come in motivated, happy, to see the results and the programs, to hear the feedback, you know, to create this environment where employees can come in and do the best work of their lives is it's just so and that's why, you know, earlier referenced the whole getting up and feeling excited about going into work. That's just such a motivator for me. So yeah, it's awesome. We're just lucky we get to do the work on these awesome programs.
It's like this amazing energy circle where you're excited about it, so you come in and do good work. That brings energy to the team. They bring it back to the office. It resonates back.
Absolutely.
It's brilliant.
It's awesome. It's very cool.
Fabulous. Look, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today. I think the insights you've provided have been absolutely brilliant. Would like to acknowledge you for one, what you've achieved at Xero, but certainly for your willingness to share, to bring those insights to be able to share with other people and think about how they can make their own people experience better. It's just brilliant. People want to connect with you online. Where can they connect?
Yeah, generally I'm kind of LinkedIn at the moment. That's my primary kind of networking channel. So always happy for people to search me up, Ryan Ghisi, unusual spelling, but I'm sure you'll have it on the podcast. So yeah, feel free to connect with me.
Okay, we'll put your LinkedIn details in the show notes so people can connect.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Love chewing the fat.
Nice one.